This is Liam, and I'm going to tell you something scary right now. I don't have any sound more terrifying than the scream of despair of a mother who has just lost her child. Those are the sounds that woke me up in the middle of the night when the neighbor boy suddenly passed away. That night, according to the official report, the boy died due to an undetected hereditary heart disease. But the rumors tell a completely different story. Marie has always been an important part of our community. She organized barbecue parties with birthday parties, very sociable and friendly. With the residents in the neighborhood, she was a single mother working to raise a young son. Alex was a very lively, energetic, and intelligent boy. We all thought that when he grew up, the boy would become a good and successful person, and that boy also loved receiving attention. No need to say the departure of that boy made us all mourn, but there will never be anyone who can understand Mary's pain. She became increasingly reclusive, locking herself in her house. I don't think she went back to work until the day she disappeared. Yeah, I only had the chance to talk to her once before she went missing. That day, she decided to tell me what happened. On the night her son died, it was one of the rare occasions when she let Urix stay up past his bedtime so he could finish watching a movie. She was buried in paperwork from work at that time. So she let her son have some peaceful moments to make him feel a bit more grown up. He was watching one of the old parts of the Terminator series. Alex was still not old enough to watch that movie, but she didn't care much about this issue and pretended not to know. Just like that until midnight, she fell asleep, still sitting on the chair. A singing sound coming from the living room woke her up. Urix was calling his mother and immediately ran to her son. "Mom," the boy called, "what's wrong?" "What's the matter, son?" The mother responded while still in shock. On the way to her son, she grabbed the only object that could be used as a weapon, which turned out to be her son's baseball bat. "There's a man on the TV," the boy said timidly. The movie had ended, but instead of commercials or the next movie playing, there was only a willow screen covering the entire screen. "A man again?" she asked. "Yes, he wants to harm me," Urix cried. Mary looked at the TV screen and saw nothing but a white willow screen. She began to lower her weapon and realized that perhaps Urix's scream was just due to a nightmare. She knew that letting the boy watch that movie when he was still too young was a mistake. "It's just a nightmare, Alex," she said gently and hugged her son tightly. "No, he was really on the TV screen." Urix cried, "He's a bad person." "Yeah, it's okay, son." Mary responded while holding the boy in her arms. "Mom will keep you safe. Now go to sleep and know that Mom will always protect you." Mary's voice might be the most comforting thing a person could hear. No matter what she said, once someone heard it, it could calm people down. She was so pure and wonderful like that. Alex gradually calmed down, and after another hug, the boy started going up to his room. But when Melody reached to turn off the TV screen covered with willow, she saw that she had seen the face of a man hidden behind it staring at her, whispering some barely audible words. She shook her head, trying to make herself alert again, and turned off the TV. It was already quite late, and the sleepiness was starting to invade Mary's tired mind. She even didn't go back to her room because she was too tired and slept right on the sofa in the living room right after turning off the TV. Just like that, until the middle of the night, she woke up with a stiff neck while she was groping her way to her bedroom. She noticed that Urix's room door was still slightly open. The boy always liked having his privacy since he was young, so Mary decided to check a bit to make sure the boy was no longer having nightmares. At first, the boy seemed to be sleeping, but his posture was a bit strange, like he was slightly slumping off the bed, with his back locked in a position very uncomfortable. She turned off the light, knowing that her son slept better in dim light. And then she froze when she realized that Urix's eyes were still open. His eyes looked slightly glossy, motionless and soulless. She carefully stepped closer to her son, and the closer she got, the clearer she saw Urix's form. The boy's spine was completely broken. Realizing that, she ran quickly to the boy's side and knelt down, unsure whether to touch her son or just leave him like that. The boy's spine was broken. His arms and legs were the same. There wasn't a single bone in the poor boy's body that wasn't damaged. He was dead and had been like this for some time. Even so, Mary still tried to perform resuscitation on her son. While the ambulance team arrived, the ambulance team had to use force to pull her away before they could handle that distorted body. The next day, she was visited by several different detectives to investigate the case. I told them everything she knew, including the images of the man on the TV behind that willow screen, but they couldn't do anything with that information. It was an extremely bizarre story, And only Mary herself knew for sure that it was true. I don't know why she told me her story. It's not like she had never told it to anyone. Her emotions, the form of the boy's body lying on the bed, but those were the last words she said to me before completely disappearing. No body was found. But bloodstains were found scattered around her house, even if no body was found. No one could survive losing that much blood. Rumors started to spread. She told my wife, who went on to tell her friend, not long after everyone knew about the story of the man on the TV, hidden behind the willow. It was like an urban legend. Everyone told each other to turn off the TV before midnight, never fall asleep while the TV is still on, just like that, until a few years later. The tragedy with the death of Ulrich and Mary's disappearance gradually turned from a heartbreaking story into a mystery full of conspiracy. People started proactively looking for the man hidden behind the willow on the TV, but no one succeeded until my wife once fell asleep while watching a movie. It was just past midnight, and I came home after a late shift when I stepped into the house. I could see a faint light coming from the living room, along with a willow sound echoing in the silent night. "Elise, are you still awake?" I called out. No response, Elise. I called again. While starting to realize what had happened, I ran at full speed to the living room to see a TV screen with interference lighting up the whole room. I froze when I saw the silhouette of a man hidden behind that willow. It wasn't too clear, but clear enough to make out almost as soon as I entered the room. He disappeared. Then I turned to the sofa and saw that my wife was sleeping very peacefully. My running woke her up. "What's wrong with you?" she asked with a sleepy voice, but I couldn't answer those few fleeting seconds. I saw the man's silhouette awaken to fear in me. At that moment, I knew that what Mary told was true, and it terrified me. "What did you do?" I asked in panic. I was just watching a movie. I fell asleep. I didn't notice," she said, while also feeling scared, seeing how scared I was. "Let's go upstairs quick," I ordered. I'm not a brave person, nor am I a strong person, but I have a gun from my father. That gun was quite old, but he often used it for target practice. I've never liked touching weapons, but this time was different. We went back inside the room and locked the door. Alice sat on the bed while I was preparing the gun. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Don't worry, I won't shoot anyone, just for precaution." I said, "What will happen to us?" she asked. Nothing, we'll be fine," I lied. The truth is, I never told her the details about Wallace's death. I mentioned the TV and said that the boy died in an unusual way, but I never told about the broken bones and the deformed body. "So why are you acting?" when she stopped mid-sentence. "What's that?" "Yeah," what my question was interrupted by a loud whisper coming from outside. It was a deep, slightly distorted voice, like it was coming through a radio. "That sound came from the TV," Alice asked. "I don't know, but I'll try to find out." I said, "Don't stay here and call the police, okay? You call. I'll check if there's anyone in this house besides us, Harry." She called loudly with a hushed voice. But it was too late. I had opened the door and gone out, making sure the door was carefully locked behind me. Maybe this was a stupid idea, but my protective instinct took over if someone or something entered my house. I would make sure they couldn't harm the person I loved. So I went to the living room holding the gun in a ready position. I slightly suspected that maybe the TV had been turned on again, and the sound came from there. That thought surprised me when I entered the living room. It was completely dark. Everything had been turned off. That sound started again. It came from the basement. Only now did I know that we had an old TV from my father's time stored in the basement. But it wasn't plugged in and hadn't worked for decades now. It was nothing more than an antique to keep memories. Even so, if I had to destroy it to make that voice disappear, I would accept it. I went inside and that voice grew louder. I still couldn't make out any meaning behind that interference sound, step by step. I started going down the stairs, slowly entering the black pit that used to be my basement. There was no electrical lighting system down here. The electrical system down here had been broken since a flood last summer and was still waiting to be fixed, so I had to use the faint light from my mobile phone to guide the way. The other hand still held the weapon high. "If there's anyone down here, show your face right now," I shouted secretly, hoping the police would arrive before I encountered anyone. But there was no response, so I decided to go down further and saw a faint white light emitting below. I immediately realized it was the interference light of the TV, meaning that ancient TV somehow didn't need electricity and could turn itself on. I quickly approached and pointed the gun at the source of the light, only to see an image form from the TV interference lines in the center of the screen. she could see a man staring at me. This time I could see him more clearly with a scar across his face and limbs so long they extended beyond the screen's edge. He started whispering. I couldn't make out what he was saying. Like before, only one word I could hear. Yeah, sacrifice. Then I heard the siren and got distracted for a moment, but just that moment was enough. The room fell back into darkness and the police officers arrived. I ran upstairs and saw not just one or two, but dozens of police cars pouring into our neighborhood. The police officers started splitting up and rushing into different houses in the neighborhood. Two came to my place. "Are you okay?" one asked. I nodded. "We received a call from your wife. We believe she's in danger. Yes, but she's in the room now and the room's door is locked." "She'll be fine," I explained. "Do you mind if we check?" We went up to the room together. The room's door was locked from the inside. The police officers started knocking on the door, calling my wife to open it, but there was no response. "Honey, Alicia, please open the door for me," I called, because at that moment the police officers realized something was wrong. They exchanged a nod before preparing to break the door down. It shattered in one beat and the police officers started rushing in. They quickly stopped after finding my wife. She was lying on the bed with her mouth wide open. It seemed like her jaw had been dislocated and her neck was broken in several places. She had the look that Mary described when she found Urix soulless and beyond. Saving the police officers didn't even try to perform resuscitation on her. It was too late. I felt like my heart was breaking. But this crime wasn't over yet. I heard the hushed conversations of about 20 of those police officers. Each of them reported finding many dead bodies in the neighborhood, all of them with shattered bones and deformed. Statements of their relatives were related to the TV interference screens and the whispering sound coming from them. That night, 15 people died in their homes, all recorded as having the appearance of a man behind the willow. But each family only lost one person. I realized how much of a mistake I made when I decided to look for the intruder in my house, when it was nothing more than a distraction to leave my wife alone, a trap to kill her. I had planned to end my life, but I needed answers. I needed to know why my wife died and who that man was. My only clue now is Mary. Although her blood was found scattered around her house, her body was never found. A difference from those other deaths. Maybe she's still alive. And maybe she has the answers I'm looking for.
Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, drop a comment below. And please like, share and subscribe my channel.